Welcome into Hog Zone with Locked On, Alex Stewart, John Nabors. John, legend has it, the refs are still throwing flags on the Arkansas Razorbacks, even though it's their bye week this week.
I know, isn't it incredible how that kind of works out and how that feels? I feel like I've had enough penalties to last a lifetime over the past week.
I would say that the Hogs fans agree, 18 for 193. We're just talking about it off cam. 1 yard short of their passing yard total for that game, but that is in the past. I think we can move on, hopefully, and hopefully not have to deal with all those penalties again moving forward. Completely unfair, as you were saying, but discipline. Discipline, I think, is the word heading into this bye week and coming out of it. Arkansas needs to work on discipline in all facets, and we'll get to that a little bit more here in just a second. We want to bring in the third member of our panel today, THV's Tyler Cass, if we can pop him up here. Tyler is chilling out. We'll get to him in a second then. I guess flag, delay a game on. Tyler.
There you go.
We'll keep on moving. But discipline, John, I think that's – oh, there he is. Tyler Cass, welcome in. That's still going to be assessed a 5-yard penalty to you. But I just wanted to talk about discipline here. That's what we were just getting to. I think that's the key thing Arkansas needs to work on in this bye week is just do your job. And I think that can alleviate a lot of the issues we've seen in these one-score games, we've seen with the penalties last week. Do you concur, good sir?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, sorry, maybe like a delay a game on me there, if not a full unnecessary roughness. But yeah, it's kind of the same story every week, just a different facet. Oh, the defense just needs to tackle. Oh, the offense just needs not to fumble. Oh, everyone just needs to not commit a record number of penalties. If one of those things goes right every week, we're talking about a completely different football team. But those things keep not going right, and this is not a completely different football team. This is the Arkansas Razorbacks. They've lost 7 games in a row for a reason. It might be a different reason every time, but the overarching reason is they are who we thought they were, or at least who they continue to show themselves to be. With LSU, Texas, Missouri, it's not just going to be cleaning up penalties. It's going to be all kinds of things that need to change if they need a shot at picking up any win the rest of the way.
Well, John, to Tyler's point, we were kind of talking about this off camera. Is there something that you can do to fix it when it is so many different things going wrong every single week? Is there something they can address in the bye to get most of it on the right track?
I mean, that's what's the weirdest thing about it is because it's like you have a big barrel of water, and then when one hole starts to leak, you plug that one up, and then another one starts to leak the other way. Whether it's penalties, whether it's turnovers, whether it's the offense, whether it's the defense, whether it's special teams, whether it's just a bad play call, it doesn't matter. This team just has got this losing mentality, and I'm not trying to hate on them. It's just a thing that's kind of ingrained in them because we keep seeing just different ways of it happening. And even every Razorback fan in that game against Mississippi State, when Arkansas had a 2-touchdown lead, I think everybody was like, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they're going to do it. And sure enough, that's how they did it. So I don't know if it's just one thing you can work on. And I give them credit because they're still fighting. It's not like they're not giving the efforts. Right. But it's like, what do you do? Because if they work on the lack of penalties or trying to be more disciplined, it just feels like it's going to be something else the next game.
Well, you know, I want to attribute this to you. I think it was you, your quote, Arkansas consistently finds new and creative ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
True.
If it wasn't your quote, it is now.
It is now.
I'll give it to you.
I'll take it.
But I think that really is the case. It's like, how are we going to lose this week? And that really was the feeling in the press box watching that game. Well, going back to Auburn as well, was like, oh, how are they going to do it this time? And every time they don't let you down by letting you down. And it's really an interesting dynamic they've got going here. But they have to be on it for their next game, going into Death Valley against an LSU team that is highly motivated after firing Brian Kelly. They got something to prove this year. Tyler, what are we looking for here as they go in to face an LSU Tigers team that is really looking to have make a statement, rather? What is the game plan? What do they work on? How do they approach this? Any help that you can provide them, what do you got?
Well, if I really had the answer there, I'd be up in Fayetteville making millions of dollars. But
you could be a candidate for the next coach.
It comes down to this for me, where I didn't used to buy in so much to the you have to know how to win thing. That always felt like coach speak kind of nonsense to me. But this Arkansas team, I think, has proven that to me more than any team I've seen in the past, where we see how things go at the end of games, the offensive struggles in the second half, the last 2 weeks where, again, to steal what isn't actually maybe not John's phrase, snatching victory or snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, this team doesn't know how to win. They don't know how to win football games, and it almost feels too late in the season to learn how to do that. There's no one on this roster right now who has won consistently, so when they find themselves late in close games, the only thing they have experience doing is finding new ways to lose those games. So it almost feels like their best bet is that they run out of new ways to lose games and they do something that they're used to and maybe something bounces the right way. But to your point about, LSU, something to prove, an interim coach, that feels like Arkansas's best bet to me. An LSU team, if you can catch them in a state of confusion, if they're distracted by the fact that the governor might run on field at mid-game and try and coach the team himself, then Arkansas can steal one here. But it feels weird to say it would take a miracle to bring the boot back to Fayetteville, especially in a year where LSU is bad enough to fire their coach. But we're 9 games into this season. I don't know what is left to change on the field or what this team is capable of changing on the field to pick up wins.
Let's go to the field here. Let's talk a little bit of X's and O's. The head coaching spot is still very vacant here in Arkansas. So, maybe we prove ourselves. Maybe we get a phone call. But, John, what might be the blueprint here for them to win going into Death Valley? As Tyler said, there's a chance. He's saying there's a chance. It's a bold strategy going on record saying that. But to me, I think it's run the ball efficiently. They've shown that they can. We're over 1,800 rushing yards on the season. That's been their bread and butter. That's what they're comfortable with. I think you have to run the ball efficiently and effectively and then just get a stop. Just not like all night. Just get a stop on defense. And I think they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's kind of like with what we've seen all year long, where if you have just one play go this way towards you, it's going to work out for you. And I hate to put it this way, but you have a top 5 passer, you have a top 5 rusher, you have a top 5 wide receiver, you have, I believe, the number 2 sack leader in the SEC. It's like you have some guys that play, and you wouldn't think of that with a 2-7 team. But here we are. I believe, as weird as it is to say, you have to do the things, of course, like not turning the ball over. I get all that. But it's almost feeling like you have to hope the other team screws up. I mean, that's kind of how it feels. Like you want them to make the bad play. It's been you. You're the one that started to let the avalanche come down. You kind of just have to hope, well, maybe they're the ones that get the penalty. Maybe they're the ones that get the fumble. Maybe they're the ones that end up having an issue there. To me, as weird as it is to say, that's with playing well, comboed with the other team messing up, that's the best bet.
Well, and it all circles back to how we started, right? Discipline. That's how you are the team that doesn't make the wrong play. You're disciplined, discipline, discipline. Do your job, only your job. Do it well. Be in the right spots. Be on time. That's how you succeed. Don't want to spend too much more time here on Arkansas's schedule. They're out of bowl contention, one game at a time and whatnot. But there are a lot of things we want to get to on the back half of this show. So very quickly, we do have Texas as well, and then Missouri to close the season. Do you like their chances in either of those games, or do you feel like they have a better shot, John, at winning one of those two than in LSU?
I mean, to me, it would be LSU, just because you have a full bye week. You're still getting prepped for it. We'll see what the injury situation looks like, as I know Taylor Green's been battling through some things and everything. But I feel like that's your best bet. They're in an interim coach. They're coming off of Alabama. Like last time I checked, any time that LSU and Alabama play, it's always tough. So to me, that's the best thing that you can do, is just hope that they're going to have an emotional letdown after a game against Bama.
You know what? I'll be the contrarian. I'm going to go on record and say their best bet is going to make some fans happy. Horns down, baby. I think they catch Texas on a down year. It's a rivalry game. They want something to prove. I think that might be the one to watch. But
I'll do it.
We want you watching us here on the other side of this commercial break. We got bills to pay. You know how it goes. We'll see you then to talk more Hogs football, maybe the open coaching job.
Hog Zone with Locked On Razorbacks is sponsored by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
Welcome back into the bye week edition of Hog Zone with Locked On. Alex Stewart, John Nabors, Tyler Cash joining us from Little Rock in the THV studios. I think we've sort of exhausted talking about all the on-the-field stuff that we possibly can, so let's get to the good stuff, the stuff that everybody's been tuning in for, the stuff that's going to blow up social media, the Arkansas coaching search. Still open, but maybe not so much, John?
Well, I know that Arkansas has basically gone all in to try to make this thing work. I know that's very cliche to say, but I think that the pressure is on them to get this one right, especially with a lot of the things that is changing in college football, next 5 years being very uncertain. But it's my understanding that they have gone all in to try to build together a financial package to really go after a guy like James Franklin. I mean, that's kind of the one that they're targeting. It's not to say that they're not talking to anybody else, but what I understand is that he's the type of coach that they want to bring in, someone that will provide energy, they'll get the whole fan base excited, someone who's a proven winner. If they end up hiring him, it'll be a home run rock star hire, but as we know, you got to deal with Jimmy Sexton, the agent. You know, you got to deal with all those guys. But I think that they're at least having a target on him and saying, hey, we want this to be this guy. We're going to do whatever it takes to make him say yes.
Well, look, to me, I think it's a very good hire for Arkansas. I think it's a good fit for James Franklin. I think James Franklin looks at this. You get the prestige of being in the SEC, but maybe not necessarily the expectations of stepping into LSU, into a job like Georgia, into a job like Alabama that Kalen DeBoer had to walk into, where it was like you lose one game, get out of town. He's set up for success here, and I think that it's a perfect, I mean, it makes sense. Name brand in James Franklin. Tyler, do you like the hire, James Franklin to Arkansas, or are you maybe looking somewhere else in this coaching search? Rhett Lashley, a popular name, SMU, although he just signed a new contract.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably have to pony up even more money at this point for Rhett Lashley if all the reports about how hefty his new contract is are true. But I agree with John. I think James Franklin is an instant kind of program elevator. I understand the whole big game James moniker, but it's a different, like you said, set of expectations at Arkansas, where if you can get a guy who sets your floor right around 8 wins a year and then has those years where you get the big wins, you take that, especially from where you've been for the last decade. And he's also, I mean, he's proven he can do it at probably with the toughest job in the SEC in Vanderbilt. Now, if he really wants low expectations, sure, he can go do the whole Virginia Tech thing. But, I mean, college coaches, they're competitive. I mean, that's cliche and a very underwhelming thing to say, but where better to prove yourself than in the SEC? So, yeah, no, I at this point, with how it's shaken out, if you are throwing the house at James Franklin and then figuring it out after that, I am totally fine with that approach if I'm an Arkansas football fan. Now, of course, this is the bye week. When you think if there's anything that could happen before the season ends, it's this. Otherwise, we're probably waiting a while. And as we've seen in the past, the longer this thing goes on, the more you start kind of stretching for names and whatnot. We've got a huge North Texas fan here in the newsroom who has been banging the Eric Morris drum at me for months now, even before Sam Pittman was fired. So he might eventually talk me into it, but I'm not at that point yet. You got to take the big swings. You got to do, like John said, excite the fan base and excite the money people.
All right, so let's say James Franklin is the guy, which it sounds like it might very well be. Let's say they put together a good financial package, negotiations, we get through all of the agent stuff that nobody wants to wade through. What realistically is the timeline here, John? When should Arkansas fans expect to, whether it's James Franklin, whether it's somebody else, hear blank is the next head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks?
It should be pretty instantly. I mean, just with the transfer portal and everything, and if you truly have the NIL, the financial backing that this program has been wanting and needing, it should be an overnight thing. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're instantly going to be a team that's in the college football playoff? I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if they were. But I think it's just a matter of getting you back to being that relevant program, because you see so many other programs like the Ole Misses, like the Texas A&Ms, like Missouris that are on the playing field that you feel like they should be on, and they're having success. I think that it just immediately makes it to where it's like, are you expecting a championship? No. But shoot, if you win 8 or 9 games here, they'll name streets after you, man. Like they'll put a building like named after you. Like they will be a lot of appreciation, a lot of love and support for you. You just got to come along with the wins. And I think James Franklin, if that's the type of hire you make, the expectation gets elevated, but it's not into an stratosphere that's impossible to get. I think he would be great here at Arkansas, and I think he'd have a great tenure at Arkansas.
So there you go. The new betting favorite, folks. If you're putting your money somewhere, I know we have a sponsor that might be into that. James Franklin, possibly the betting favorite here at Arkansas. And John, this is what I appreciate about you. You set me up very nicely here, naming off college football playoff teams, mentioning the CFP, mentioning all the SEC teams. It all leads us very nicely here. Look, let's take a look at the first bracket, shall we? It just came out earlier this week. Obviously, Arkansas not on it, but this is a college football show, so we're going to talk college football. I think they got it right. I mean, you could argue a couple different seeds here or there, but, I mean, I like the way that shook out. That's an interesting bracket to me. You've got intriguing matchups, and if my math is correct here as I go through, we've got, 4 SEC teams in the top 12 there. Tyler, I'll go ahead and bring you in. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but your thoughts on the first college football playoff bracket. Again, asterisks, it's open to change. This is just the first one.
Yeah, I agree. I think by and large they got it right. And by virtue of being the first one, it's almost the safest one because you can rank, you can put in 4 SEC teams. You can put, a couple Big Ten teams right at the top because they should shake themselves out by the end of the year. I mean, we got matchups between multiple teams in here. I mean, heck, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh are both there, and they're going to play in 2 weeks. After that game, both of them are not going to be in those rankings. So my only maybe little quibble there is felt like a little bit of disrespect for an American conference where you've got 4 or 5 teams all sitting in one of those one-loss circles where they've all kind of beaten each other, and it feels like whoever wins that conference will have an inside shot at making the playoffs. So I would have liked to see maybe a little more love there, but I think for what they're doing now is just put 25 teams down, see how things shake out the next couple weeks. It's pretty solid.
So let's go ahead and narrow down to the SEC, since that is where Arkansas plays. John, out of the 4 SEC teams, Georgia, Alabama, we had Ole Miss in there, and Texas A&M. Who's your favorite? Who do you like to go the furthest? And I'm going to throw my pick in. Underdog is Ole Miss. I think they can beat Virginia. I think they can get through Texas A&M. They play big games. I like Lane Kiffin to make some moves in there, but what are your thoughts on the 4 teams that are currently in the playoff bracket?
Well, I mean, I always going to like Lane Kiffin. It seems like there's just been an ascension for him where he's been consistent, but this is now no longer, okay, when's that game that they're going to have? When's that Kentucky loss that they're going to have like they did last year that kept them out of the playoffs? They got this in the bag as long as they just play their game, which I think that they will. So I like them. The A&M thing is still weird to me where you got to give them credit because they're undefeated, but it doesn't feel like they're great.
No.
And then Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, they've been on one since the very first game against Florida State, haven't lost since. Beat Georgia, looks really good, but still need to see Kalen DeBoer take the next step. It's hard to not go with Kirby Smart because he's been there before, multiple championship winning. But to me, if I'm going with it, I'm with you. I think Lane Kiffin or even Alabama with Kalen DeBoer, those would be the 2 ones I'd be looking at over the other 2.
Which, interestingly, are the 2 that don't have the bye weeks, which, I mean, there's the whole debate there between does the bye week help you, does the bye week hurt you? I don't know. We'll have to see it play out if that is, in fact, how it ends up playing out. But I'm going to look right into this camera and say the Big Ten is still the favorite with the top 2 teams. Indiana, number 2. I like the Hoosiers. But my producer's going to let me hear it if I don't say Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country. Probably, I hate to say it, the favorite in the college football playoffs. Not just in this bracket, but for the entire duration of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I look at all these teams. So many losses have been so close. So it could be anyone's game, but usually these things figure itself out, and some of the better teams win. And, again, Ohio State's one of them. Other teams may have something to say about it, though.
Look, anything can happen, and that is why I love the 12 team. I know it has a lot of detractors, but I absolutely endorse the expansion of the college football playoff. This is what it's all about. All right, that's going to be it. Commercial break here coming your way. They're telling me short on time, so we'll talk more Hogs, college football, basketball. Who knows on the other side.
Hog Zone with Locked On Razorbacks is sponsored by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
As an Arkansas sports guy, people often ask me why I talk so much about the Bet Saracen sports betting app. The answer? Of the 3 apps available in our state, Bet Saracen is simply the best, and they're the largest. One of the reasons? Because they constantly have breakthrough special offers and unique parlays. Kind of like me doing a live TV commercial that's pretty breakthrough as well. And another Bet Saracen first.
Hog Zone with Locked On, Alex, John, Tyler from THV. Look, nothing says we have to talk just football on this show, so let's talk a little bit of Hogs basketball.
Thank goodness.
John Calipari, Season 2. What are the expectations here? Let's go to Tyler first here. Tyler, what are your feelings here on Coach Cal in year 2? And can this team make another magical run?
Not only can they should. It almost feels like we've reached the point where anything less than the second weekend of the tournament is going to feel pretty disappointing. Obviously, there's a lot of basketball to be played between now and then, but this team is already coming out the gates way hotter than they did last year. It definitely probably helps when half of your team isn't injured for most of the preseason practices. But, I mean, this is a pair of freshmen. Potentially, it might be a little too early to say, but we're going to be talking about them as maybe the best pair of freshmen to ever play together at Arkansas, at least as freshmen, and then surrounded by, so many other talented players. We haven't even, Carter Knox didn't even play in the first game, and we saw how great the Arkansas offense looked. Maybe it's just, a little bit of football fatigue and just grasping for any kind of positive straws here, but I'm expecting this Razorback team to be one that is fighting to be in the top 10 all season long, especially, after today, that schedule gets not easy, but not easy until Thanksgiving against Duke.
Well, to Tyler's point, the next 4 games at home, Central Arkansas, Sanford, Winthrop, Jackson State, before they finally go on the road against Duke. John, talented roster, small sample size, but very talented roster. Trevin Brazil has looked pretty darn good. The 2 freshmen, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, good. And then you've got DJ Wagner as your ball distributor. Very talented team. You like Tyler's take there that they should be contending to get to the Sweet 16, if not further.
Yes, because you have John Calipari as your head coach. That's the expectation that comes with it. He's a Hall of Fame coach for a reason. He's got the talent. He's got the depth. He's got great guard play. He's got an inside game. They got defense. They got physicality. They got retention. They got experience. They have everything. So if they have everything, what's going to hold this team back? We don't know what the tournament's going to hold, but as far as the regular season goes, I think this team can be in contention to winning the SEC regular season outright.
Well, I will tell you what can hold this team back. It's the same thing that holds the football team back, and that would be themselves.
Yes.
Discipline. Circle it back. That's what we do here. We just bring it full circle. John Calipari is not going to let undisciplined play fly on his court, and we've seen that. And that is why, with kind of a ragtag group by the end of last year, they did what they did. But look, that's going to bring our show tonight to a close. Arkansas on the road against LSU football. That's next Saturday. We'll talk all about that one with you on the next Hog Zone with Locked On.